And we couldn't even get one of the local reporters out here from the weekly paper. They ignored us, ignored our calls.
Yeah, it's the good.
So,
Getting in near the end of
Fake news.
who's, oh, somebody's on the phone. Don't let me interrupt you. Hasn't Mayor Walsh already determined and broadcast to mayors across the country that Boston is, in fact, a sanctuary city?
Sorry. Yes, indeed he has. Boston is a sanctuary city with a sanctuary policy that interferes and hinders ICE from doing its job. And there are criminal aliens who get released back to the streets of Boston who should instead be put on the path to deportation. It's a real sanctuary because of the Trust Act that the supporters want to take statewide. And that's the hearing that's going to take place on June 9th.
Thank you. It seems most religious groups support immigrant rights in sanctuaries. Can you tell us what religions oppose sanctuary cities? And is Commissioner Evans lying when he says that complete cooperation with ICE does dampen the willingness of immigrants to come to the police? I think we handled question number 2 a couple of times. So anybody want to comment on the religious groups that support immigrant rights?
As far as I know, all religions support immigrant rights. It's the illegal immigrant.
Yeah.
It's they don't have the rights to live.
I would also point out. I would also point out that the Catechism of the Catholic Church, which is probably one of the greatest documents in testament to the natural law, says that a government may make legitimate rules for people to enter countries. And I'm paraphrasing that because I left my
Catholic
catechism at
Church is
home.
pro-sanctuary.
Speak for yourself.
Speak for yourself. You get the catechism. It's section 2440. 2440. The Catholic bishops make a fortune off of the refugees, not the illegal aliens. And I'm a Catholic.
Do not lie. Do not lie.
Wait, be quiet, sir. Have a little courtesy, sir. Be quiet.
If you, can I just make a comment here? Sir, the Catholic Church, and I'm a Catholic, in order for you to become a Catholic in the church, do you have to meet certain requirements? Do you have to do certain things to get in? You have to do certain things. Are there rules to become a Catholic? Or can you just go to the church and become a Catholic?
Catholic bishops support sanctuary.
Okay.
We're all communists anyway. So what do you know?
Well, the reason
Google it.
The reason, no, and I heard you mention something when I made the comment about the Jewish community.
The Jews, many of the Jewish, because you know there's more than one kind of Judaism.
Right.
Most of the Judaisms support immigrant rights.
The communist.
Right.
Look, well, we might disagree about the law, but I know religion. Well, most of the religious groups, and this was not my question, but the religious groups are in fact supporting immigrants. Did you see 60 Minutes on Sunday night?
Oh, that's right.
We're going to move this along.
This isn't even a
There's a panel here. There's a panel here. Not debate. We'll do a debate another night. I promise you. We got a great turnout. We'll have a debate another night. Give me your number. We'll get you up here.
I'll give you my card.
Is it true the federal government withdrew the policy that restrained ICE agents from detaining illegals outside courts, hospitals, and schools?
I don't know what today's rulings are because they've changed a great deal. As when I worked, and I can only go back all the years, it changed somewhat. But generally, in fact, I was with a judge from Ohio this weekend. I asked him that very question, what do you do? And he said, we work with ICE, and normally they don't come in the courtroom because they meet them afterwards. And our court officers work with us, and that's the way it's done. That's the way it's been done for me. I've testified in court a lot. But
It never has been against policy for ICE to make an arrest in a courthouse. It's not one of the so-called sensitive locations. And the ironic thing is that the sanctuary policies are what force ICE into places like courthouses to make arrests. The reason they make arrests in courthouses is because a local sanctuary policy has released that individual and ICE has to go get them. They want to do it in a courthouse because courthouses screen people for security and they know that they're not going to be armed. So it's safe for the agent and safe for the public to make an arrest in that courthouses. And I would say if people object to ICE making arrests in courthouses, they ought to be against sanctuary policies because that's what is causing so much of that now.
And if anyone's keeping score, I'm doing one pro, one anti question, rotating, trying to rotate things. So this is not from one of our supporters, but the Safe Communities Bill specifically address only voluntary communications between local and federal entities. So it's weird that the CIS speaker made it seem like proponents want to block that. This obfuscation is troubling.
No, it would, yes, those communications are, the idea that what it makes it a sanctuary policy is that they prohibit communication between local officials and ICE. And that is what makes a sanctuary policy against federal law. And that's what I spoke of, Section 1373 of the law says that it is illegal to have a policy that prohibits communication or exchange of information between local officials and federal immigration authorities.
Let's see. How are we doing on time? Nobody's got a cake in the oven back home? How about we just do a couple more questions, all right? So, is any effort made to track people who have overstayed visas?
Occasionally. ICE uses about 2% of its resources to try to find those, that small fraction of visa overstayers that it believes may be a national security threat. That's pretty much the only resources they have dedicated to finding overstays. There was just a report released the other day that by DHS that found that in 2016, more than 700,000 people stayed beyond their authorized duration of stay, became overstays in the country. So that's a lot of people ignoring the terms of their admission to the U.S.
And ICE is defining criminal activity as DUIs, traffic violations, and entering the country illegally. These are not violent offenses. How are these individuals such a threat that they should be deported?
Well, first of all, my son was killed by somebody that had multiple DUIs and driving without license violations, and if he had been deported, my son would still be here now.
Look, President Trump's made clear, and the law enforcement community has been very focused on this as has ICE. We are absolutely targeting the criminal illegal aliens. This is a public safety issue, it's a national security issue. Frankly, there are plenty of criminal illegal aliens in this country that we have not been able to track down, from gangs to potential terrorists to people who are involved in all kinds of pretty deep frauds and things like that that are a threat to our communities and to our quality of life. So the long and short of this is that they don't really have the time or the manpower to be chasing down the others. It's not to say that somebody may not come across their path with some other issue around that overstay that might bring that person to sort of a red flag position, but they're not out there just looking for people overstaying. DUIs, yeah, absolutely. And remember, it was President Clinton in 1996 who issued a directive from the White House following Oklahoma City. When they thought it was an international terrorist, he sent a White House directive out to all the PDs, the prisons and so forth, and said, reach into your populations and see if you can find anybody that's here illegally and get them moving toward removal out of this country. And it was at that time that they started to change the laws that were deportable offenses. At the time, DUI was not a deportable offense. But then Congress said, oh yes, it's going to be, we're going to add it to the list. And so were a number of other crimes that weren't deportable offenses, but at that time, it was determined that they wanted to move forward and add the additional ones, and DUI happened to be one of them.
I want to thank the audience, the citizens, non-citizens, everyone that's here, that were concerned about this topic, the people that agreed and disagreed. We had a moment of silence to start out this meeting, and I'm going to share a little secret with you. I thanked God that I live in a country where the people that were outside on the sidewalk with signs were free to come in here and sit down and be part of this program, and I want to thank them tonight for coming in. And, Jessica Vaughn.